What's up everyone, Matt here and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about what's in my music studio for 2022. This is the space that I work in on a day-to-day basis, whether it's making music with my co-writer, doing stuff for Native Instruments, doing film and product videos. So I wanted to let everyone have a little behind the scenes look at what I have going on here in my space. So let's talk about gear and gear and gear and gear and more gear. When I first moved out to Los Angeles, I worked at Guitar Center for 4 or 5 years, and honestly, they really have a good setup going on because they pay you to be an employee, and then as an employee, you spend all of your money back at Guitar Center buying the latest gear. And when I was there, I had this mentality of there's a new piece of gear coming out, I needed to have it. I needed to have the latest sounds and the highest quality preamps. And for some reason, I guess I just thought that would make my music better, would make it sound better, and I would be able to be more creative. And don't get me wrong, by all means, new synths and new sounds, all of those things absolutely help your creativity. But I ended up accumulating so much stuff that I didn't use or just didn't spend time using. So today, I just want to break down some of the stuff I have in my studio, talk about some of the things that I do use, some of the things I don't use or don't have time to use, and just kind of give you a look at behind the scenes of what's going on here. So let's do the thing. All right, so let's start here. This is my desk setup. Everything here is pretty much what I keep on my desk all the time. I like it to be pretty minimal. I don't really like too much going on. Let's start with the Mac. As far as my Mac, there it is down there. I'm using the 16-inch M1 MacBook Pro. It's the M1 Max. It's fully spec'd out. And this thing has proven to be a beast. The thing is gnarly. It can handle my trailer sessions. Just for instance, here's a session with 130 tracks on it. Software, plugins, they have audio tracks, and this thing can handle no problem at all. That's the magic behind everything, is the MacBook Pro M1 Max. So to touch on the Apple setup, you notice I only have one cable coming out here. Now that cable runs over here. So over here I have a OWC 16 terabyte hard drive, and that's what hosts all my sounds. So it's my sound library. On top of that, it also has a dock built in. It's a Thunderbolt 3 dock. So I have all my USB hubs. Everything goes into that. My screen, the Apple it charges my laptop. It's literally everything goes into that. Next to that, I have 2 universal audio satellites. I believe they're both the 8 cores, but honestly, I don't use too much universal audio plugins. We will get into that in another video. So that's kind of the setup down here. Everything runs into the dock, and then it's just one cable to my Mac. As far as my screen goes, I'm using a Samsung 34-inch ultra wide. When I first got this thing, I was kind of weirded out by it because how wide it is. But now using it for over a couple years, it's amazing. Like being able to pull up my mixer and see just tons of tracks, and being able to zoom in and just see everything. I can, like I said, this is 130 tracks and I can pretty much see everything on screen. It's great for audio, it's great for video. I love the ultra wide. It's a curved monitor. If I had to get another one, I would absolutely get another curved monitor. So on my desk, I keep a Native Instruments Complete M32. This thing is probably what I play 90% of my music on. 32 keys, it's super small, has adjustments for Logic. I can use all these knobs to control everything. It has complete controls, which is awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much my go-to keyboard, again, for like 90% of the music that I make. As far as an audio interface goes, I'm using the Complete Audio 6. Thing is perfect for my setup. I have one input coming from my Moog, 2 outputs to my speakers. I have 2 inputs here, one for my microphone that's on my desk, which is my SM7B. We'll get to that. And this is for the microphone that I have over here in the corner. It's got 2 headphone ports, which is great. Again, one for my headphones when I'm recording over there and one for the headphones at my desk. And other than that, it's just solid. I love the big knob on top. It's really easy to use and it's not very expensive. It's USB. Does the job. For speakers, I'm using the Neumann KH120s on a set of isoacoustic stands. Now, I've probably had these speakers for 8 or 9 years since I worked at Guitar Center. They're 5-inch speakers. They're great. They have a lot of control, which I really love. I don't have any complaints with them. They sound good. They sound good in my room. You can flip switches on the back for how close they are to the wall. So again, they're really simple speakers. They sound great to go with them. I have a Yamaha HS8S subwoofer just for some extra low end. And that is pretty much the desk setup. If you want to get real specific, we can talk about keyboards and mice. Just an Apple keyboard, but for my mouse, I am using a Logitech MX Master 3. This thing, I used a Magic Mouse for the longest time, and I was like, I'm never gonna change. This changed the game. All right, now let's talk headphones. For headphones, on my day-to-day, I'm using the Apple AirPod Max. These are awesome. I think if you were mixing or mastering, it's probably not something you'd want to use, maybe just as a reference. But for me, I'm producing 90% of the time. These things are not only extremely comfortable, I love the different modes, the transparency mode. Wearing headphones a majority of the day, puts a lot of pressure on your ears. So with these, it opens up those microphones and it relieves a lot of that pressure, which is awesome. It's also really great for being able to hear yourself. I'm talking over a microphone in my co-writer a lot of the time, so being able to hear myself definitely helps. And on top of that, you can buy one of these Lightning to 3.5 millimeter cables. So if you want to connect them to your interface, or if you want to plug it straight to the computer, you can. But the Bluetooth latency is, I'm honestly kind of blown away. It's extremely minimal. I can produce comfortably in Logic with these things connected over Bluetooth. So that is what I use for most of my producing. If I'm really trying to hear and want to get a different reference point, I do have a set of ATH M50s. I don't think I've put these things on and I honestly can't tell you how long. It's been a very long time. So these sit over here collecting dust. And over by my microphone, I have a set of blue headphones. Again, another one of those headphones that I don't really wear. These have a built-in preamp, so you can get a lot of volume out of them. They're pretty cool. They were designed from like an F1 car, if I can recall. And these pretty much sit over here if I'm recording on this microphone. And let's get to that now. So this microphone right here is an ST69. I bought it probably 10 years ago. It works, it sounds good. Again, I don't really record too much as far as vocals go, so this really just sits over here. It's a tube microphone. A lot of people probably want to know about this reflection filter. This is from GIK Acoustics. Too bad it's against the wall, so you don't really see it. But it's cool. Again, it sounds good. I really don't use this very often, so more for aesthetics, if anything. But it's there in case I need to use it. As far as my day-to-day microphone, I use the SM7B. I have it on this Gator framework stand. It's attached to my desk, so I could just pull this out, throw it back in there. So it's out of the way most of the time, but really convenient. This guy, the cable runs under my desk. I hope you're ready for this. To this little box right here. And I've wired this thing in a way to where if I flip the switch, then the microphone's always active. And if it's off, then it's not active. I can also push the button and talk. So it's really nice if I just need to say something quickly, I can say the, push a button, say hello. Or if I just want to leave the microphone on, if we're, in the middle of editing or something, I can do that. Down here, I also have connected, this is a 48 volt phantom power for the SM7B. Now it's a dynamic mic, so you don't need this, but I have this little SC Electronic Dynamite, I believe it's what it's called. It's kind of like a cloud lifter. So that's all connected and goes to the microphone. You'll also notice down here, I have this crazy basket filled with power bricks. I tried to do my best by getting rid of cables, so I ran all the cables from the power and everything kind of lives in this paper tray that I've screwed to the bottom of the desk. Over here, I have a Furman power conditioner, so everything plugs into there. You can see that on this side here. So there's the power conditioner, and this actually runs to a smart switch, so I can just trigger it on and off without even having to hit the switch. Now, some of you may be asking where all the machines at. You're always doing machine videos. Well, down here. Down here, you'll see a selection of different machines. So I have an MK3, we have the Orange Edition. This is a Machine Plus standard. This is a white Machine Plus and a blue. These were for the 25 year. So these live here for any Native Instruments videos or machine videos I'm doing. And also, you'll notice over there, there's a white S49. Let's go over here. Here I have a S49. This is pretty much my go-to. It's what I'm using a majority of the time if I do need to play keys. And yeah, this guy lives right here. This is it. It's all connected to my hub, which I pointed out earlier. It's got a sustain pedal down there, and this is it. Now above that, I do have a Moog Sub 37. This is one of those products that I should use more. I've owned a couple of them, and I don't really use it that often. It's all wired. I have it all connected, USB and audio out. So I think a lot of the times I'm trying to meet certain deadlines, and I just don't really have the time to explore sounds, especially hardware sounds, or I'm trying to sync it up with Logic. So most of the time it sits over there. It's got cool lights on it. But again, another one of those pieces of gear that I really should use more because I'm so fortunate to have it, and it's amazing. The technology is great. It sounds thick and has depth to it, but I unfortunately just don't turn it on that often, and I don't really dive into it. So maybe this year, who knows? What is over here, you may ask? This is a Technics SL1200. I have two of these. They're both from 1993. The pitch is still amazing. I recently replaced the circuit boards on them. I used to use this for DJing and sampling all the time. Now I really just use it for playing records. I still do a little bit of sampling, but I wrapped it in carbon fiber when I was doing the DJ stuff probably 10 years ago. And yeah, it's here, but if I want to, I can run RCA out over to my system and I can sample. I got some records down here that, again, I just kind of listen to, but some stuff is good for sampling. And then this is just a HS5. This guy is mainly just to play music from the record player. And then over here is my saxophone. This was a gift from the wife. Now, I am by no means a sax player. I do know how to play the sax, and I've probably been fiddling with it for 4 or 5 years now. I had a funky electronic band I used to play in. So I can play some notes and some melodies. A lot of times nowadays I'm using it for layering and add tracks where we might have a horn line from a software instrument, and we just want it to sound a little bit more real, so I can just go and play a couple notes and layer on top and give it that nice real sound. And that is a little inside look at my music studio setup for 2022. Hopefully this video was helpful, or you found a piece of cool gear that you might like, or small piece of advice or something. Hit me with a like or a sub for the algorithm. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer. And stay tuned for more videos on music gear and filmmaking stuff coming out soon. Sweet sugar.